Hey, what's up, dudes? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, well, welcome back. If you watched the previous video before you watched this video, you will be aware of what we're eating today. And if you watched the video yesterday where I talked about what we're eating today, what we were making, you'll know that this is the Flaming Hot Cheeto Mac and Cheese Tomato Soup. Now, I also added extra sriracha seasoning to this. And I put it in this bowl because I wasn't gonna, normally, okay, I would just eat it out of the pan. Normally I would just take this upstairs and eat it right out of the pan, no questions asked. But I was like, I'm hanging out with you guys tonight. I should probably be a functional adult and put it in a bowl. And then I was like, oh, it looks like it needs some mozzarella cheese on the top, just for aesthetic purposes. So I had a little bit of a taste of the sauce earlier. Well, when I was like earlier, by earlier I mean like 5 minutes ago when I cooked this. And it's got some kick to it. So the nice thing is, right, is so you get the noodles, but you also get the tomato soup. Now, I can see my screen, and this looks very bright red, but to me, this is very a very dark red. And it's actually interesting how it doesn't show up properly. Maybe my eyes are wrong. Maybe the camera's right and my eyes are wrong. Regardless, this is really, really good. I wish I had a garlic, not a garlic, but a grilled cheese right now to put in here. That would be A plus. The nice thing with like the spice on this is it's not front loaded, it's back loaded. I like back loaded heat when it comes to spice, and if you know what I mean, if you don't know what I mean, front loaded spice is where you get into it and you're like, ooh, wow, dang, that's spicy right there. Like it almost overwhelms the flavor of what it is that you're eating, and you only focus on the spice. With back-loaded spice, you get the flavor, and then like a couple seconds later, that's when the heat kicks in. I kind of like that, where it reminds you that you just ate that hot thing. So it's like with this, I get like a good like little bit at the kick at the front of like the Flaming Hot Cheeto taste. And then after a second, I get a bit of heat and tomato sauce, like tomato soup taste. So this is like a really good blend of the two. Now normally, I would just be making this with like Blue Box mac and cheese. And I would spice up the tomato, with like some sriracha, Frank's Red Hot, stuff like that, and go from there. But I like the inclusion of the Flamin' Hot Cheetos. It's definitely new. And I remember I ordered like the Flamin' Hot Cheetos mac and cheese for a stream like a really long time ago. And then I just never made it. And it just kind of sat in there. So I'm glad I got to use it. But how are you today? Hopefully you're good. It's the It's the middle of the week. I guess it depends on when you're watching this. Could be the middle of the week. Could be a Saturday, and you'd be like, that's weird that he said that. That's the nice thing about, you know, videos, right? Is I'm available when you're available. Man, it has been storming here like the last little bit. Wind's been really kicking up, and it's raining out really bad. And it's super gray and just overcast. And it sucks because I want snow. I want winter. I want snow. And it sucks that, like, in Ohio anymore, we get like a couple weeks of winter, but like in Ohio, it's so sporadic on what we get what day, right? Like you could wake up to like half a foot of snow, and then like by the middle of the day, it's like 50 out, and it's, yeah. And it just kind of sucks. Like I just want, I mean, I know a lot of people don't like snow, but I like snow. Like, snow has a smell to it. Like, when it's cold outside, it just smells better. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the smell of, like, fresh cut grass, which is, you know, grass's defense mechanism and, like, basically just grass screaming. You know, that's always a good smell. But I like it when it's cold. Also, as a bigger individual with a beard, that's the main point. I feel like I run better. I don't run. I mean, I operate better when it's cold. What's up, dog? You good? Are you freaked out because it's storming outside? He's like sitting in between my legs right now. He gets that way whenever it's storming out. The heat of this this mac and cheese is kicking in. Getting a little sweaty. But yeah, I just really want, man, I just like winter. Also, bugs die. Or at least they go away. Now, the downside of winter is that because I live out by the woods, in the middle of nowhere, that's when all of the mice come back in to inhabit my house. And so I'll have to start strategically placing my traps again. Like, it's real bad. Even when I had, like, so I had Orkin, right? And I just stopped paying for it because, like, they ended up coming out and they're like, yep, you got mice. Here's a whole bunch of glue traps. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, all right, peace out, homie. I'll see you in like 2 months. And I'm like, are you going to do anything about them? And they're like, yeah, man, just like, you know, put those glue traps out. And if you need any more glue traps, just let us know. And I'm like, bro, I'm paying you guys like $75 a month or whatever it was to just bring me some glue traps. As it is, I originally paid them to re-insulate my attic with this stuff that's like supposed to make it so mice don't nest in it. I'm pretty sure they're still up there. They went around to like all of the corners of my house and basically shoved Brillo pads in there. I paid for that. And then something dug it out of the corners of my house. So I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, man, I need to order some Brillo pad to put in these corners of the house. Though I don't think it really matters, because even if they can't climb up like in the corner of the siding of the house, I've got so many trees that they can just like, you know, fall off of onto the roof and get in that way. They can get into the garage and then get in through the garage. So it's kind of a losing battle type thing. I got this thing one time that was supposed to be like supersonic, like piss mice off because it's ultra frequency. And then it just made my dog mad. And so I was like, well, I can't just like torture him nonstop with this sound just because of mice, right? So that was a big fail. And then the other problem is if you put out poison, right? They just die in your walls. Like I've had so many mice just die in my wall. Even if I don't put out poison, sometimes they just die. And then you're like, oh, well, that's a smell I have to contend with for, you know, a couple of weeks. Fantastic. So it's not though it's not as if I don't try to get rid of them. It's just that it's really, really hard to completely root them out. And the problem is they can fit inside like super tiny stuff. I think it was like a mouse can like fit through a hole the size of a dime. So the corners of your garage, like the corners of the garage door, that's just a giant walkway for them. Now, if I could just have like a garage cat or a basement cat, that would be cool. But I don't really like cats that much, and it would never be allowed in the house. And I think that just cooping a cat up in the garage, like throwing food at it every so often and a box to poop in, like probably wouldn't be good for a cat. I mean, maybe they'd like it, but probably not. So it'd be nice if I could just like so the other thing I was thinking about too is like, oh, I could have a garage cat, but just like leave the garage door cracked a little bit so it could get in and out. But then that allows everything else in existence to get in and out as well. So like, you know, maybe I go out there one day and I just get attacked by like a feral raccoon. You know, I don't need that in my life. Plus, I'd probably go out there to feed it sometimes, and it'd be like, what are you doing coming into my area? And I'd be like, look, dog, cat, look, cat. I don't know who you think you are, but this is my house. So you can just mosey on. You get fed, you kill mice, you have one job, and that is to not upset me. You know, the last couple of days, I've been making excessively too much food. I don't know what has changed recently, but like I just have not had the capacity to eat like I used to. Like previously, you know, I'd eat 2 boxes of mac and cheese like it was nothing. Right now, I'm about halfway through this, and I'm like, whew. I'm like, man, I need to take a minute. I need to let this settle. This might not be good. I'm going to some place this weekend with my mom that's got all you can eat shrimp. Maybe I just don't eat on Friday. Maybe I just won't eat Friday. And then I'll be ready. Not only that, maybe after I have my existential awakening in the float pod on Saturday, maybe my hunger shall not be sated. Or maybe I'll just transcend hunger. Who knows? I am going to probably make a video on Saturday. I was thinking about it, and I want to record my thoughts, like initially, like right after, like in the car, what happened, what I thought about it, and go from there. I watched a bunch of videos on like the sensory deprivation float stuff last night, and it's interesting because like, oh, I'm sorry, Ode. My bad. I didn't mean to freak you out. Half of the people were like, yeah, it sucked. It didn't really do anything. And I just kind of sat there going, man, I'm in a pool. Did I send that email? What am I doing after this? And they just got annoyed because they just didn't have anything to do for like an hour while they were in the float pod. But some of the other ones that I saw, they were like, you really need to like induce yourself into this state, right? It's like the whole meditation thing and breathing. And one of the things I've wanted to do is I wanted to get into meditation, right? But like the problem I have is like external stimuli. Because like I'll be sitting there trying to like, relax and zen out, and then like my phone will ding. And I actually need to figure out like why certain apps can bypass do not disturb. Because like I'll set do not disturb on, and then like some app will just send me a notification and it'll just like ping, and I'm like, bruh, I quite literally have you on do not disturb for a reason, and you're just disturbing me right now. Or it'll be like, I'll just hear something. Like something that's, I don't know what that noise is. I'll hear something or something will move and it just kind of brings me out of my focus. So hopefully this allows for that. And, I'm just going to breathe, kind of focus on it and see what happens. But it'll be interesting because like I was saying the other day, this is like the first experience thing. Because like I don't consider really like, going out to eat at a restaurant or something like that as like an experience, right? Like this will be the first experience that I've had since before COVID. It's like the last real thing that I did. No, that's not true. I went to Nashville last year for work. So that was an experience. Before that, though, it was like Japan was like the last big thing that I can think of. The last thing that like really stuck out in my mind was like that Japan trip, like right at the onset of COVID. Because it was very surreal as well. So like when I went over there, it was the start of COVID, right? 2 weeks to stop the spread. Like it was going to be a thing, and then it was going to not be a thing, right? So I had planned my trip to Japan for a while, and I was like, you know what? No global pandemic's going to stop me. And like I had been there quite a few times before, but like getting there was insane. Like the airport had nobody. Like, I'm pretty sure that there were only like maybe 20 or 30 of us on the plane, period. When we came in, like, zoom right through. And I bought the train pass. Because if you go into Narita Airport, you can buy a rail pass that just takes you on this like express train that then takes you to Tokyo Station, which then you can hit all the other stations on. It was actually really good. Plus, if you go into Narita, it's like your flights are like $500 cheaper than if you go into Haneda. Just something to put out there. But even when I got on the train, there was nobody in the train. I was the only person in the car that I was in, and I could see like a couple of cars like both ways, and there was just nobody on this train. It was such a weird feeling, because every other time I went to Japan, there were just people everywhere. Everywhere you went, like even in the train station, tons of people. This time, just like nobody. There was like nobody on the streets. It sucked because a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do was closed, obviously, but it was real weird. And then I remember like a couple of days before the end of my trip, like I just get an email from the airline and they're like, "Hey, by the way, we're just gonna cancel your flight." And I'm like, well, that sucks. So I had to I couldn't really call them because it's like I didn't know the phone number, right? And I didn't know how to get a hold of them. And plus, like my phone, I had it on Wi-Fi, but like I didn't use like global travel or whatever because it's like I wasn't going to get phone calls. So I was like, hey, it is what it is. Hopped on the train with nobody on it. Went back to the airport. And the whole place was like pretty much shut down. Except for just like one booth. And so I had to get my flight like changed. And they were like, "Hey, just a heads up. Like, we don't know if this flight is going to go out either. So maybe you're stuck here. Maybe sucks to suck." And so I got on another train and I went and I was like, you know what? I want to go because everybody's freaking out. I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, man, this sucks, but I'm like, maybe I just extend my vacation for a little bit. It is what it is. I could find worse places to be stuck in than Tokyo. And so I end up going to like the embassy because I'm like, oh, well, I'll go ask them like, hey, what happens if you guys just don't let me leave the country? And so I spent all this time going to the embassy and it was closed. Yeah, like the embassy was closed. And I'm trying to figure out like why it's closed because, I didn't say anything online. It said like, oh, hey, it's open. And I thought it was weird because the people who were outside, like the guards of the embassy, like they just had like quite literal armed guards outside. You would think that the Japanese guards of the United States Embassy would speak some English, but they didn't. And apparently it was a holiday, and so that was why it was closed. So after like fumbling around with Google Translate, and having them Google Translate, I found out that they had a holiday. And so I left because, well, there wasn't anything for me to do. And I was like, well, that sucks. So I was sitting there like on the train back. I was like Googling like those cheap Japanese houses. I'm like, if I just get stuck here forever, I'll just buy one of those like $10,000 houses that you see, and I just live in Japan now. And honestly, if I didn't have my dogs, if my dogs would not have been waiting for me to come home, maybe I would have. Maybe I would have. But unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, you know, a man's got to do what a man's got to do, and he's got to make his way home in order to make sure that his dogs are okay. So that was my trip to Japan. So that was like the last really big like life event that I had. I mean, I don't really care. I don't really consider like driving to Nashville for like a work thing really like life changing or anything like that. So, you know, I mean, it was an experience. I've never driven to Nashville before, and I've never been to Nashville before. You know, and I had like started at the company like, I don't know, a week before I was supposed to go to Nashville. So, you know, I didn't know anyone. And you ever been like, so as an introvert, right? You know, this Nashville trip was like the first time really that I had been anywhere with like a bunch of people like before, you know, COVID. Like Japan was like my last thing. And then it was like last year I went to Nashville for work and stuff like that. And like as an introvert, like even before, even like when I would, you know, when it wasn't a problem, you know, when I did go out and do things, like I never really like, I'm fine just sitting there observing. Like I'm a people watcher. I like just sitting in one place, enjoying the scenery and this watching what's going on. And it sucked because they obviously didn't know that, right? Because they didn't really know me that well. And so, you know, the boss that had hired me, like his boss, like kept sending people over to like talk to me. And, you know, I'm like, all right, well, hey, here's my default dialogue small talk stuff. You know, because like I'm pretty sure these people don't like Path of Exile. They're probably not big gamers. You know, chances are they're not into like, you know, crazy conspiracy theories or anything like that. Plus, also, like I had just started there, so I was like, you know, I don't want to come right out the gate and just be like, yo, dog, how do you feel about the moon being hollow? You know, like I didn't have enough clout. Like I've been there long enough now where if I was just in like a work meeting or like the next time we have like a company all hands and like we're sitting there drinking and I'm like, so how about those how about the, you know, the Black Pyramid under Alaska? And they'll be like, excuse me? And I'll be like, oh, you don't know about the Black Pyramid under the ice in Alaska? Well, strap in, buddy. You know, and I feel like I've got enough clout that they might be like, wow, that was a little bit weird, but like, you know, it is what it is. They know I'm a gamer. They know I'm into anime. They know I'm a little bit weird at this point. So it's a completely different, you know, type of thing. Now, if I'm there, you know, some people probably going to come over and be like, hey, let's talk about some stuff. And I'll be like, hey, can we just not talk about work? That'd be fantastic. You know, and but the thing is like when you got people that don't know you and you don't know them, and they're being like prodded to like come kind of talk to you, it's always real awkward, you know. And I told them, I'm like, hey, look, you know, I'm like, I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate you trying to make me feel welcome and stuff like that. I'm like, but this is just how I am. I'm like, I'm perfectly fine. I'm like, if I need something, I'll go get it. You know, if I want to talk to somebody about some stuff, you know, it is what it is. I'll do it, you know. But yeah, So, I mean, you know, nothing on them, but it was just kind of awkward. So I wouldn't really consider that like a big life event, right? That I needed to, you know, I mean, it was an experience, I guess, but not like something that, you know, I'm gonna like, you know, if I had to like break down the, you know, the top experiences of my life, that's not even going to be a consideration. You know, I'm going to pay for this later. I probably should have stopped about halfway and then just ate more of this yet tomorrow. But here we are now. And I can already tell that my stomach is rumbling with unhappiness from the spice. And such. But there we go. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed this. I'm glad that there's a lot more of you who are coming through. New people. I appreciate you. And I hope you continue to enjoy listening to me talk about stuff. You know, maybe tomorrow I'll show you the cool shelf that I put up. But we'll see. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Take it easy, homies. Peace out.